What are some red flags for teachers that scream drop this class immediately when the first thing they say before reading the 2-page 1.0 space syllabus is, "I've been teaching for X years so I deserve your respect," or something like that? That's basically a 100% accurate indicator that this person cannot be wrong, and they will talk to you like you're a piece of shit. They can't earn anybody's respect, so they have to ransom it. My name is Konstantin Makarov. I was nuclear physicist in Russia. This course will not be easy. Not all will survive. But we can get through it together. First words uttered by my differential equations professor. There's a huge waitlist of students for a different section with a different professor. Oh, and she doesn't speak your native language well enough to communicate the class material. Yes, you will go to class, study for tests, and do all of the bonus projects. But rest assured you'll get the first C of your college career in a damn general education requirement because of her. If all your professor does is read from the textbook, then drop that class. If you can. Sometimes you need it for your major, or a time conflict. But if you can, drop it. You know how to read. I had a sociology class where during the introductory lecture the professor went on a tangent about how since she has a doctorate, if she was ever on a plane and someone asked is there a doctor on board, she would say she was a doctor. If you didn't call her DR, she would ignore you. She stated that holding a doctorate in sociology should carry the same clout as being an MD. No disrespect to sociologists or anyone with a PhD, but those are not the same things. She went on other rants about how nobody has ever gotten a 4.0 in her class and she was proud of it. It was the worst class I've ever taken. She was just an insecure nutcase with a PhD on a power trip. I barely passed. Oh, and the course text was of course her own book. I'll make the class too hard and curve the class average to a C. Because C is average. Get out the science textbooks and work on chapter 5. Activity 1 inches. Proceeds to sit down at their desk to do random shit on their computer. Ended up being don't take this class in the first place. But we had the AP English teacher come into our honors English class to talk to us about what to expect if we signed up for AP English next year. And he basically told us he doesn't give a crap if our parents would beat us over not getting an A or if we would go kill ourselves or something. I'd always been pretty much a straight A student with the exception of gym class, and I'd never gone to a teacher and asked them to change my grade in my life. So it's not like I anticipated needing a compassionate grade boost or anything. But I did not sign up for that class and took scholarship English that year instead. It was way too easy for me and all of my friends were in the AP class. But high school is dehumanizing enough without having a teacher who feels the need to explicitly state he doesn't care whether you live or die. Fuck that. When they really put down good students for smaller mistakes. Back when I started college, I got straight A+S in a class. But when I went to check on my overall grade, I had a B+. Found it odd and went to question my teacher about it. He said that he dropped down my grade because the class was a bit of a pain in the ass. He didn't use those exact words, but that's what he meant. Then I questioned him again about my posture, asking if I did anything wrong or disturbed class or whatever. He promptly said I didn't and that I was a great student, which made me ask again why his grade lower then. He told the same excuse from above. Then I asked if he was planning on changing my grade at all, since I had only As, and he promptly said he wasn't going to change. Fast forward a few days, I ended up filing a complaint about him and his method of grading students, and the college made him change my grade. After that he approached me and said something like, "Hey, you forces, you didn't have to file a complaint about me. I was gonna fix you grade yada yada." Personal experience. I literally dropped 4 classes my sophomore year. Prior to starting the classes, the disability department contacted all of my teachers to tell them that I am deaf and that I would need some form of written typed paper to follow along with lectures. I'm completely deaf. Sit closer. I can't give you special treatment. I've had teachers that I just simply couldn't understand due to a language barrier, and in hindsight I should have dropped immediately. I learned that basically if you can't understand what the teacher is saying, be prepared to teach yourself a lot of the class. I had an accounting teacher one time who was Chinese, and I remember sitting in that class on the first day scratching my head because I had no idea what she was saying. I looked around and a lot of the other people had the same look on their faces. The next week I showed up to class and what was once a classroom of about 40 people was now about 12. I should have known right there to drop. But I didn't. I stuck it out and a few weeks go by and it didn't get any better. I got my first test back and completely bombed it. I told myself right then that I was going to have to teach myself the material and that coming to class was pointless. So I taught myself accounting by using the textbook. Since I didn't go to class, I missed all of her pop quizzes but just told myself I'll make it up on the tests. I only showed up for tests and the final, and lo and behold, I passed the class. When the teacher doesn't even explain anything. He just goes on YouTube and shows the class a video and everyone is left without a clue of what is going on. I dropped computer science because of this. And I'm glad that I did. Also, when the teacher hardly ever explains anything and insists in independent research. More like I can't be asked preparing lessons, so just go ahead and do it yourself. Too many people got A's last semester. So I'm changing my syllabus for you all. You should drop all of your other classes because this course will require a lot of time and effort. Definitely one of the biggest things you need to consider is that even if there is a large workload, depending on the subject it may help. You have to remember that the professor has to also grade this stuff, so assuming there's no TA doing all of the grading, it is extra work for him. It's not what you want to hear. But take for example my physical chemistry professor. He assigned 1-2 homework assignments per week. And they took anywhere from 3-6 hours on average to finish. It sucked ass. But instead of guessing on exams, I fully understood the material. This professor was always answering emails as well. Within an hour at almost any time of the day. If they have shitty response times, they probably won't be that helpful, and I'd recommend dropping. The most helpful professors I've had were the ones that answered emails ASAP. I've never taught this before, so I'll be learning along with you. Edit. She ended up getting double teamed by 2 seniors and let go. The opposite. Purchasing the book for this class will not be necessary. Save your money. I have a PDF copy if anyone needs it. But we will follow along together. And I have printouts of all the questions. When a teacher does that, I'm like, okay. They obviously care about making this a good experience and not wasting my time or money. Over the winter break of my freshman year, I was diagnosed with a degenerative bone disease in my knees, which meant I had to use crutches for a while, then eventually a wheelchair for a time. I was late to my philosophy 101 class, due to adjusting to my newfound limitations. I apologized for my tardiness and tried to find my seat without making a fuss. As I was making my way across the classroom, my philosophy teacher remarked, "Everyone, let's just patiently wait for the cripple here to get to his seat." It's possible she had believed I was one of several skiing injuries that the student body had incurred over winter break. But either way, after that first day I never came back to that class. Think that their students should only focus on this particular class for the upcoming semester, as if they should spend all their time on it. We'll be doing 3 group projects this semester. I will assign the group and it will be the same group for all 3 projects. No. Professor claimed she didn't allow people to step out of class to use the bathroom. You're all adults, not children. You can hold it. Exactly, lady. We're adults. We paid to be here. And adults have to use the bathroom. These books are required for the class. I wasn't able to get the revision into the bookstore in time. So the only place you can get them is from me directly or from my website. I will warn you. If you don't buy the books, you won't get the login information to be able to take the final, which is 90% of your grade. Oh. And no. I can't accept financial aid for them. But it's only $250, so it's not a big deal. Never seen an entire class get up 5 minutes and then leave before. The instructor either seems to have trouble speaking in the language in which the class is being taught, or their accent is so thick that it's difficult to understand them. While plenty of people are incredibly knowledgeable about their topic of interest without being great at multiple languages, the fact of the matter is that you're not going to learn much if you're going to have to devote so much of your attention into just figuring out what the instructor is saying. If they segregate students. I had an American history class where on the first day the teacher told everyone that no one was to sit in the furthest left row of seats. Those seats were reserved for the what she called idiots. Idiots were people who arrived late for class. My class before this ended 5 minutes before this class did and was on the other side of campus. I took the safe route and dropped the class. This was before the school made it a rule that you had to have 10 minutes between classes. And the professor was an adjunct professor. On an unrelated note, I had an English teacher at this same school that thought when someone had a number on the back window of their car, a number the DMV makes you put there due to some issue with your registration, it meant they were bad drivers and essentially on notice. She thought this because she said she had only ever seen Asian drivers with them. The girl who explained what it actually meant knew because she had had one. And was also Asian. That last teacher I know for a fact no longer works as a teacher. No one will get an A in this course because, insert some philosophical highbrow bullshit answer. If they do icebreakers not just on the first day, but the second day as well, it means they have no idea what they are doing. I had a professor that in hindsight I really should have dropped. It was a Western civilization history class. And the first day the entirety of the class he spent talking about how he missed his old job teaching in Europe because American students are more lazy and incapable of getting as high of grades. Then he showed intro YouTube videos from his personal laptop hooked to a projector, and all of the recommend videos all had titles like grinding with thong, sexy college babe grinding, etc. I thought he was just eccentric. But the guy was easily the worst teacher I ever had. He would expect you to totally memorize all the chapter. He would quiz on material that didn't matter for concepts. I.e., what was the name of Caesar's second cousin? When the information would be found in a huge family tree. The only students in the class with A's were women. And he would grade their quizzes differently and be much more lenient. The students compared quiz results. Someone in class called him out and he said that he was tired of teaching Americans and doesn't get paid enough. Literally. 2 hour. In class. Pre-recorded PowerPoint lectures from 2008. Because it saves time for me. And please don't ask questions until after the end of my PowerPoint. This was in 2017. This is my first time teaching. So you'll be my guinea pigs. Her test averages were low 50s with no scaling. It was great. Pride in the difficulty of their course. If everyone fails, it's not for an inability to learn, but for an inability to teach. This class will be using a textbook that I am writing and editing during the semester. Translation. It's going to be amateur hour. In addition to trying to learn new stuff, you are paying the school for the privilege of proofreading your professor's book. Day 1 of grad school for electrical engineering, multivariable Laplace transforms. Everyone takes their seats and professor smiles and says in a thick Russian accent, "Disforced Klasitage." Okay. Had a drawing professor that put a stack of pre-signed withdrawal forms on his desk. Told us to grab one when we were ready. I had some issues with my schedule and wasn't registered for a particular course on the first day of class. So I registered and attended on the second day. He had already paired up the class into groups of 3-4 on day 1 for a project that would span the entire course and count for a large part of our grade. When I asked if I could be joined into a smaller group, he told me no. That I could do the work solo for the semester. I was peeved. But needed that course as a prerequisite for something I needed next semester, so I silently fumed. After week 2 I had failed 2 reports because he just didn't like what I wrote. Not that the reasoning, research, or writing was unsound, he just didn't like the subject, so he gave me failing grades. I dropped the class, took it with another teacher the next semester, and graduated a semester late because of it. I don't regret it. He was a horrible teacher and I'm sure my mental health would have suffered if I had continued in his class. Reviews on Rate My Professor. There are a few times that the student was just mad that they got a low grade, but more often than not, they are spot on. Tenured Organic Shame Prof. Any questions? 50 hands go up. Prof. It's a fairly simple concept. So you'll get there. Let's move on. When they read the PowerPoints word for word, I can do that at home. Teach PLS. The use of McGraw-Hill Connect if the class isn't absolutely necessary. You have to buy this online book to have access to the online homework. When I can get a PDF of the book by various means. Who the hell want to pay to do homework twice? Edit. See, I was going to reply to everyone. But then there are a buttload of comments. Pearson. Sapling. Hooks. Wiley. All of them are crooks in book. I've been fortunate to not have any of those classes since sophomore year, but did I hate it when did. Edit JR. Obligatory. My highest updated post comment is to me fussing about how something costs too much. I approve. It's a real shame college administrations by and large promote this tomfoolery for a bird dog fee. I don't see it ending soon. Not without some sort of textbook industry collapse and rebirth. For the short term, if you can galvanize your classmates to discuss better and affordable options, there could be success there. It sounds idealistic, but sometimes just asking makes a big difference. Or maybe just a free cookie.